followed by a live demonstration into the tool. To round up today's webinar, we'll then go into a little bit around our content best practices, some core tips and tricks to really bring your campaigns and content to the next level. Let's jump straight into a quick overview of LinkedIn's core capabilities as well as what we stand for. Our true north as an organization is centered around helping professionals like you connect with other professionals to ultimately make you more productive and successful. This is our mission and, of course, our core priority. LinkedIn brings together the largest community of professionals globally with 610 million professionals on the platform, of which roughly about 25% or about 158 million professionals are based in APAC. To drill this down a little bit deeper, there are approximately 41 million senior level influencers, 22 million decision makers, and 7.2 million C-level executives, or what we call C-suites. As you can see, professionals across various levels in an organization are all active and engaged on our platform. What we strive to provide our members and companies that engage with LinkedIn is a high-quality professional environment. For companies like the ones you represent, this means quality ad and content placements in an uncluttered environment. This allows you the ability to drive meaningful and engaging conversations with the people you care about or your target professionals in a way that is unobtrusive and valuable to them. Of course, all of this is anchored in a transparent, controlled, and brand-safe environment. Looking more closely at the way our members or your target professionals engage with LinkedIn, we see that this varies from platform to platform. Just think about the way that you engage with your personal networks versus your professional networks. Your personal social networks, it's more about keeping up with your friends' latest holiday pictures, keeping up with entertainment news, or keeping up with the latest viral video that's making its rounds. On professional networks, it's more about keeping up with the latest career information, keeping up on industry trends and news, or even keeping up with the latest current affairs. How professionals engage with the different social networks, we look at it more about spending time when it comes to personal social networks versus investing time when it comes to professional networks. So as we can see, professionals come onto our platform with a stronger investment mindset. Recent research shows that 74% of B2B buyers use LinkedIn to research their purchasing decisions, and 92% of B2B marketers leverage LinkedIn over all other social platforms. As you can see, the way that LinkedIn engages its professionals is very goal and investment driven, and they see this as a credible and trustworthy platform. So LinkedIn is all about building trust and driving conversations in an authentic, brand-safe environment, reaching out and impacting the right customers and prospects, and delivering the right content to the right member at the right time. So now that we have a better understanding of LinkedIn as a platform, I'd like to share with you a little bit more around our unique targeting capabilities. To do so, I'd like you to meet my friend, Jody. So like many of us here on this webinar, Jody has created her LinkedIn profile. On her LinkedIn profile, she has input her career history, including things like the companies that she's worked for, the job positions that she's held in these companies, from which we are able to infer the industry that she's from, as well as things like her job seniority, groups that she's interested in and she would like to follow, as well as input things like her education background, such as the school she's attended, her degrees, as well as the skill sets that she has acquired. She has also input, the current country that she's based in. And like many of us here, on a day-to-day basis, she also actively engages with the LinkedIn newsfeed, engaging with content and topics that she's interested in. As this is Jody's digital resume and her professional footprint, it's most likely to be accurate and very up-to-date. From what Jody has put on her profile, as well as her daily activity, we are able to curate a rich source of what we call first-party member data, as well as a second source, which is what we call our inferred data. These two pools of data form our core targeting attributes, which you'll see on this screen. We often divide this up into 5 core targeting criteria, which includes firstly, company, including targeting aspects such as company name, industry and company size, demographics, secondly, thirdly, education, such as member schools, fields of studies and degrees, fourthly, job experience, such as job titles, job functions, seniority, years of experience, and member skills. And the fifth bucket being interests, which includes member groups, for example, the ones that Jody has joined, as well as member interests and custom persona segments. So just a key call out here on member interests, which is basically interest targeting. So this is our newest and latest targeting feature, which was launched in January and is proving to be very, very successful. So in addition to our LinkedIn demographic data, you can also drive greater effectiveness by using your company's own data. So you can do this by leveraging aspects such as website retargeting or data integration with our partner platforms, and also email contact targeting and account targeting as well. So this will enable you to drive greater effectiveness and target the people most likely to become qualified leads for your company. So I hope you now have a better understanding of our targeting capabilities. I'll be handing over the time now to Ash, who'll be sharing a little bit more around our LinkedIn Marketing Solutions core product suite.
Next up, I'll be taking you guys through all the different ad formats you can leverage on the LinkedIn platform to reach your target audiences. So the first ad format we have is called single image ads, also known as sponsor content. So the great thing about sponsor content is that it's available across devices. So whether it's mobile, desktop, or tablet, you can reach your audiences anywhere. So sponsored content is something which is shown within the native newsfeed on LinkedIn. So as you scroll through your feed, you might see some sponsored posts from advertisers, which are targeting these ads specifically to you. So the great thing about this is also that you can have a different variety of objectives to achieve with this format. So whether that's brand awareness, lead generation, or engagement, you can achieve all of these different objectives through this one specific format. Our next format is LinkedIn Native Video, which is hosted on LinkedIn itself instead of a third-party site. So the great thing about having a video on LinkedIn itself is the fact that you can collect much more detailed metrics about video performance. So whether that's view rate, completion rate, click-through rate, you have all this information available to you on your Campaign Manager dashboard. Our members love engaging with video, so this format has been very successful with our clients so far. And another good thing about this is that you can enable captions so people can view your videos on the go. So our newest ad format and something we're very excited about is called carousel ads. So with carousel ads, you don't need to use just one image, but you can use multiple images as well. So it could be 2, 3, 4, up to 10 images if you choose. So what you can do with carousel ads is showcase multiple offerings, tell a brand story, or really deep dive into the different values and benefits of your product and brand. And of course, share insights and opportunities as well with your audiences. So this helps you to tell a complete brand story and also showcase different offerings that you might want to highlight to your audiences. You can also have different click-through URLs for each card, which makes it easier for you to kind of have different objectives met through this one ad format, and of course drive great results for your different target audiences. The next format we have is called Sponsored InMail, which is a message ad that you can send directly into the inboxes of your target audience members in a very professional and uncluttered context, of course. So the good thing about InMail versus emails is that because it's in LinkedIn and we have frequency caps in place, there's a lower chance of people's inboxes being flooded with thousands of messages from other advertisers as well, which gives you an upper hand in reaching your target audience members with your message at the right time in the right context. So our frequency cap is 1 InMail every 45 days, which means that if I receive an InMail from you today, no other advertiser can reach me for the next 45 days, which is great because you're holding that space in their inbox for that period, and there's a higher chance of your message being seen and acknowledged. So the next format we're going to cover is called LinkedIn Dynamic Ads, which is personalized to the specific member who is seeing the ad. So as you can see in the second image below, the ad is personalized to the specific member who is viewing it, which is why you can see his own profile image as well as the company's logo next to his image and a couple of captions as well. So the great thing about dynamic ads is, again, you can achieve different objectives. So whether that's driving website traffic or getting company page followers or even getting downloads on any kind of content you might have through our lead gen ads, this solution pretty much does all of these things. The final format I'm going to cover today is called text ads. And this is also a really great way to drive engagement with your audiences with an easy self-serve solution. So what you can do with text ads is have a simple marketing message which is shown on the desktop of users on the LinkedIn website. And this also helps to drive more traffic to your landing pages. So let's talk about a feature which I personally love using in my campaigns with clients. Is called lead gen forms. So lead gen forms are a great feature to use if your objective is lead generation. because these will help you to drive quality leads on the LinkedIn platform and collect these leads within the LinkedIn environment without having to drive your members outside the platform to a site where they would need to fill in an external form. So the good thing about this is that it's a good experience for the member because it's quick and it's easy, and for you as well because you can collect these leads directly on the LinkedIn dashboard without having to kind of do this separately on your own site as well. And this is integrated with different solutions within the LinkedIn product suite. So you can use lead gen forms with sponsored content, single image ads, carousel ads, video ads, and also sponsored email, which makes it very easy to use and very useful for achieving your lead gen goals. The next section is about creating a campaign in our newest objective-based advertising interface. So this is campaign creation at a glance when you first start to create your campaign on LinkedIn. So the good thing about objective-based advertising is that it's led by objectives, and also the whole campaign creation process is streamlined into one page to make life much easier for you as you create your campaigns. We have 3 guiding pillars as part of objective-based advertising. The first is awareness, second is consideration, and third is conversions. And this all depends on the specific marketing objective that you have for your campaign. The first thing you would do after selecting your objective is deciding on the targeting you want to use to reach the right audiences on the LinkedIn platform. So as you can see here, this is split between audience attributes and matched audiences. So audience attributes includes things like company, demographics, education, while matched audiences allows you to input your own data, such as account lists, contact lists, and website audiences as well. The next section of the campaign creation flow is the bid types. So with the bid type section, what you'd first select is the campaign budget. So this can be either a total budget or a daily budget and a total budget. You can also decide your campaign start dates and end dates, and decide the bid type, which I'm covering in the next slide. So now I'll take you guys through the 2 types of bid types that we have. The first one is automated bidding. With automated bidding, you're letting the system bid on your behalf. The good thing about this is that this is managed on your behalf by the system, so you don't need to go in every day and change bid. Rather, the system will do this for you. But of course, in this case, you have less control over the spends in your campaign, and the cost might be a bit higher than if you set some caps on your own. The second option, of course, is to set these caps on your end and have a kind of manual maximum bid for CPM and CPC every day to make sure that the costs stay within the limits that you've decided for the campaign. With this, you have better control over the costs. This is good if you have a more price-sensitive approach to the campaign, but then this would put you in a position where you might not be as competitive because the campaign might not deliver enough, or you're losing out to your competition as well. So now that you've set up and launched your campaigns, the next step, of course, is to make sure that they're performing, right? So what you would do next is you would go to the reporting UI in the Campaign Manager dashboard and see exactly how each of your campaigns is performing. So this is how the reporting UI looks on the Campaign Manager tool. As you can see here, you can see all the different campaigns that you've added and the performance against each of these campaigns. What you can do here is you can select different campaigns, you can view performance, you can change your view to sponsored email, sponsored video, etc., depending on the ad format. You can select the time frame to see the performance over a period, and you can also export reports. So Sharon's going to cover a bit more on this in the live demo. So just to dive a bit deeper into performance now, you can also see the trends over time as well as demographic details of who has been engaging with your ads in the campaign. We have 2 views on the Campaign Manager dashboard. One is for performance and one is for demographics. Number 2 is the performance overview. This shows you things like the total spend over time, the CPCs, the CTRs, the CPLs. This is a very great way of seeing how your campaign's trending over a period, which of course you can customize. And the second view is a breakdown of demographics, where you can see exactly who is clicking on your ads, who has been seeing your ads the most, to give you an idea of exactly which audiences are engaging the most with you.
So let's dive straight into Objective-Based Advertising Campaign Manager dashboard. I'll take you through how to create first a business account or an ad account, followed by how to create your very first campaign and content piece. So first things first, how do you access your ad account? So you can do so by logging on to your newsfeed. Once you're in the newsfeed, as you can see, this is my newsfeed, click up here on the toolbar that says Work. Then click on the Advertise button, which will then lead you to this page that says Advertise on LinkedIn. After which, click on the blue button that says Create Ad, and this should lead you directly to the Campaign Manager dashboard. On this dashboard, you'll see all the current ad accounts that you have to date. If you already have an ad account, you can click directly onto it or search it in the search bar over here. If you need to create a new business account, you can do so by clicking on this blue button on the top left-hand corner that says Create Account. For today's demonstration, I'll take you through the process of how to create a business account. So first, click on the Create Account blue button. Give your ad account a name that you can easily identify it with. So for example, I'm going to name mine Sharon's Marketing Lab Account. Next, you see a little drop-down box here that allows you to choose the currency that's applicable to this account. So for example, you could choose US dollars, Singapore dollars, or Australian dollars. For today's presentation, I'll be selecting US dollars. After which, the third step would be to associate the company page to this ad account. So you can either copy and paste the company page URL, or you can type out the company page name. So once you have selected the right company page, click Save, and you have now created your very own ad account. So now that you've created your very own business or ad account, I'd like to also highlight to you how you can set up monthly invoicing or input your credit card details. So you can do so by navigating to the top right-hand corner and clicking on this button up here, and then clicking through to Billing Center, which you'll be able to find all the details that you need to do so. So before we jump straight into creating your very first campaign, I'd like to give you a quick navigation of what's available on this dashboard. So you'll see up here a few different tabs. So we have campaign groups, we have the different campaigns that you have created or will be creating in this case, as well as the different ads that you have created or will be creating. I'll just click into the default campaign group for today's demonstration. So to create your first campaign, all you have to do is navigate to the top left-hand corner and click on this little blue button that says Create Campaign. And then you'll be brought into our objective-based advertising campaign creation process. So the very first thing you need to do is give your campaign a name. So I do recommend giving it something that will be easily identifiable for you. So for example, I'm going to call my campaign Marketing Labs _ and I name it after the target audience which I'm looking to reach. So for example, engineering and IT, seniors and above. Once I'm happy with that, I can click out of it and it's automatically saved. Of course, you can edit it again on a later date. So the next step will be to select the objective of your campaign or what you want your target audience to do when they receive your piece of content. So it could be, for example, downloading a white paper or driving them to your company's landing page. For today's demonstration, I'll be selecting website visits as my objective. This brings us now to the second section of the campaign creation process, or audience targeting. So the first step would be to select the profile language. As you can see, I have selected or is automatically filled with English as the profile language. What this means is that it will target users who have the English interface for their LinkedIn newsfeed. Next, this brings us to the location section, or which geography you're looking to target. And this is our only required or compulsory field. So for today's demonstration, I'll be using Singapore as the geography that I'm looking to target. I think some of you probably would have noticed on the right-hand side, this automatically populates firstly a target audience size, and also over here some numbers, or what we call forecasted results. So first things first, target audience size. As you layer on more targeting filters, this will automatically recalculate and give you an idea of what your target audience pool size is going to be for your campaign. At the bottom here, this is a very new feature that we've launched in our objective-based advertising platform, which calls out a rough estimated budget delivery based on the targeting filters that you have applied, and also based on what the performance is for similar previous campaigns. So for this live demonstration today, my next targeting filter that I'll be adding on would be a little bit more around my engineering or IT professionals. So there's two ways that you can do this. So firstly, you can either search up a particular filter if you already know or you already have something in mind. If you don't already have this in mind, you can also click on the 5 targeting criteria here and look through it and select the ones that are applicable to your campaign. So for example, I want to select someone who is in the IT and engineering job function. So I click Job Experience, click on Job Functions, and I can see all the different functions that are available for me to select. So for today, I'll be selecting engineering as well as IT. So as you can see, this dynamically changes the target audience size, which you see on the right-hand side. So on top of this, I also want to add on another filter, for example, job seniority. So I can click this under Job Experience, Job Seniorities, and I can click the different seniorities which I feel are applicable to my campaign. So as you can see, layering on these different filters has brought our audience size down to 130,000, which still is a very healthy audience size. We often recommend not to hyper-target and to achieve at least a minimum audience size of 100,000. So once we're all quite happy with the targeting filters that we've applied, I'll scroll on to the next section. So just one call out here around enable audience expansion. So this is a check field which is auto-populated, which you can choose to either keep or remove. For today's demonstration, I'll be unchecking this filter. This brings us now to our next section, which is to select your ad format. As you can see, there are a few different ad formats you can choose, such as text ads, single image ads, carousel image ads, video ads, and dynamic ads as well. For today's demonstration, I'll be selecting single image ads. Our next section would be around placement. So this basically speaks about how we can expand placement beyond the LinkedIn newsfeed. For today, I'll be unchecking this as well. So this now brings us to our budget and scheduling section, where there's 3 easy sections that you'll need to input on. First being budget. So you have the option of setting just a daily budget, setting just a total budget, or setting both a daily and total budget. For today's demonstration, I would set both a daily and total budget. So over here, you can input both fields. So for example, for this campaign, perhaps my total budget is $5,000, where I'm looking to set a roughly evenly paced campaign of about $180 per day. Just one thing to note is not to set too low a total or daily budget, as this would greatly limit the impact and reach your campaign will have. Next, the second component would be the scheduling section. So again, you have a couple of options. So you can either just set a start date and let it run continuously until the budget is fully consumed, or you can set both a start and end date, which is what I'll be doing today. So for example, I want this campaign to start on the 1st of May and run all the way up to the 31st of May. And finally, the third and last section would be under bid type. So as Aishwarya has shared earlier in today's webinar, there are a couple of types of bid types that we have on this platform. So the first would be automated bid, as well as manual bid. So in this case, because the objective of my campaign is website visits, the 2 bid types I have would be CPC bidding or CPM bidding. For today's demonstration, I'll be setting a manual CPC bid. So as you can see, a field here that pops up which says bid amount, which is what you can manually input to be your bid price. So what I recommend is bidding slightly above what the competitive range is, or in this case, $6 to $12.31. So in this case, I would recommend bidding at approximately $13. So just one thing to highlight though, as LinkedIn is a second price auction, bidding at $12 or $13 in this case doesn't mean that you'll necessarily end up paying $13 per click. As a second price auction, you only end up paying about 1 cent above what the second highest bidder is. So once you're happy with this setup that you've done in terms of setting up your audience, the ad format, your ad placements, as well as your budget and scheduling, just click Save and proceed to the next step. So all you have to do to create your very first piece of content would be to click on Create New Ad. And immediately this window pops up. So the very first thing you need to do is to input your ad name or creative name. I recommend definitely putting in something that's easily identifiable for you. So for example, I'll be calling this Marketing Labs Singapore Creative 1. So this is just visible to you for your own management purposes, but will not be visible to your target audience. Next, we need to input on 3 key sections. First would be introductory text. So for example, I could input a text like Discover Marketing Labs now. As you can see, this auto-populates on the right-hand side as this is our very helpful preview function. So basically what this does is as you build your content post, this will automatically create a preview view of what your target audience would see on their newsfeed. Next, I'll input my destination URL, which is basically the click-through destination for your target audience. And finally, on the third section, I'm able to choose an image to input on my content post and then include a headline. So for example, a headline that I'm putting in would be Top 10 Tips for Discovering Singapore. And you can also include a small description here or just hit spacebar. And once you're happy with what you've created, just click Create. And you have now created your very first piece of content. So just a couple of things to call out. You can accurately preview your content piece by clicking on these 3 buttons and hitting the Preview button. Also, clicking on the button on the top will allow you a few ad rotation options. So you could either rotate your creatives based on best performing creative, or you can select your ads to rotate evenly if this is what you prefer. And once you're happy with it, you could either click Save and Previous if you want to still keep this in draft mode, or you can launch your campaign once you've input your credit card and invoicing details. So now that you've set up your campaign, you're probably wondering, how do I track it? How do I manage its performance? And of course, how do I report on it? So let me just jump into an existing ad account that I have and show you a couple of nifty tips and tricks on how best to manage performance as well as to do some reporting. So I'd like to share with you some really useful tools that help me track my campaign performance and I believe would be really helpful for you as well. So for example, I want to track a couple of campaigns that I've created, for example, my AK campaigns. All I have to do is to check the campaigns which are applicable, in this case, these 3 campaigns, and toggle up to this button that says Performance Chart. If I click on it, I'm immediately brought to a graph, which I can adjust the time range. For example, I like to see it for all time, last month, this month, yesterday, or even last 7 days. So for today's demonstration, I'll show you all time. So there's a number of things that you can look at as well. For example, you can see it by number of clicks it's received over the duration, or perhaps the budget that it has spent over its duration. You can also view it by performance or by demographics. So if I click on this, it then brings me to how this campaign has performed on a demographic level. So for example, I can see this by top engaged functions, job titles, companies, industries, job seniorities, or job company size. So for example, in this view, I have it under job functions. So I can see this in terms of the top reached job functions or top clicks from different job functions. So just to call out here that this demographic analysis is also available when you click directly on this blue button up here called Demographics. So one of the things I'd like to highlight as well is that if you're interested on viewing performance of your different ads, you can easily look at all the ads you created and view all their performance by clicking directly on this Ads tab on the top right hand corner. So you can of course change the different date ranges and view it by the different metrics as well. So the last reporting tip that I like to share with you is also how you can easily export your campaign performance and share this with your wider team. So you can easily do this by clicking on the Export button on the top right hand corner, which will then show you the different report types which you can easily download. So for example, I'd like to download a report on campaign performance. You can then select the date range that's applicable and then click Export. And this will immediately give you an Excel format of the campaign performance or the report type that you have selected. So I hope you found this live demonstration of our Campaign Manager dashboard useful. I'll be handing over the time to Aishwarya, who'll be taking you through some content best practices and tips and tricks, which will really help to elevate your content to the next level.
Now that we've gone through the entire process of setting up your ads, selecting targeting, and everything like that, let's really talk about some best practices that will really make your ads on LinkedIn pop. Tip number 1, and this is one of my favorites, is to invest in great visuals. What great visuals do is that they make somebody who's scrolling through their LinkedIn newsfeed stop at your ad and make sure that they read it. Imagery is a really big factor in engagement, so make sure your ads really stand apart and you have great visuals which are really going to get your audience to engage with your ads. As you can see here, we have a few different ads with really great images according to me. The middle one is a baby who is probably talking to somebody on the phone, but if you see that on your feed, I'm sure you're going to stop because I know I would. So moving on to tip number 2, which is to make your ads highly relevant to your target audiences and make sure you highlight something that's in it for them as well to make them engage and click on your ads. So make sure you speak directly to them and the specific pain points that they might have. So if you're showing me an ad, you know that I am a client solutions manager at LinkedIn in the digital marketing space. If you show me an ad which has to do with my profession, my career trajectory, and some topics I might be interested in, there's a higher likelihood of me clicking on your ad and engaging with it. So let's move to tip number 3, which I think is one of the most important tips to keep in mind as you run ads on the LinkedIn platform. And this is to have a clear call to action and not bury the call to action in too much text. Now, of course, a lot of advertisers know this, but then they don't get this right because they have too much text on their ads, which really makes the audience lose sight of the actual call to action and the action they should be taking after seeing the ad. So these 3 ads in these examples have done this really well. As you can see in ad number 1, it's very clearly highlighted on the image that the person reading the ad should download the ebook. Or the third one, which is downloading a playbook for innovation. So just make sure that the call to action is clearly highlighted so the person knows exactly what action to take next. So let's move on to tip number 4, which is to ask questions, make statements, and use interesting facts in your ads. So if you look at the examples over here, the ad in the middle has a statement and a fact as well. So that is 87% of people are transforming the way they work together to deliver what's next. So that's a great way of getting your audience's attention and delivering a specific fact or a stat that you might have. The third one asks a question, which is, are you a data thriver? Take the assessment. So this really gets the person who's seeing the ad thinking about whether they are a data thriver, and they might want to find out more about that by taking the assessment. So if I were seeing this ad, I'd be intrigued and I'd probably click through just to see if I am a data thriver, for example. So get creative with your ads, ask questions, and just do whatever you can to really engage with the audiences and find creative ways to do so as well. So tip number 5 is something you can implement in any of your running campaigns as a tactical optimization, as well as something you can set up right from the start, which is recommended. So that is A/B testing. So when I say A/B testing, I don't mean having totally different or very big variations in your ads. They can be simple changes such as different intro text or different headlines, just to see what works best with your audiences. So in this example over here, you can see that the 2 ads have the same image, but the text used with the ads are different. And the result of this campaign was that version B had a 48% higher CTR than version A. So what this helps with is helping you understand exactly what type of ads your audience resonates with the best and what kind of ads you should continue to run versus what type of ads you should not run in the future, for example. Tip number 6 is something I cannot emphasize enough, which is make sure you're designing your ads for the mobile experience. So an interesting stat here is that 58% of people on the platform are using LinkedIn on their mobiles. So this makes it extremely important for advertisers to make sure that their content is delivering an optimal mobile experience. So as you can see here, the examples I've put in are 2 ads which are doing this very well. So one thing to keep in mind is that if you have an image used on the ad which has text, make sure the text is large enough to read on a small mobile screen. Because if it's not, you don't want your audience squinting their eyes and like looking closely into their screen just to see what your ad has. And chances are they're going to scroll past this because no one has the time to do all of this. And last but not least, tip number 7 is to have fun. Don't be afraid to get a bit creative and entertain your audience on the platform. After all, even though professionals are seeing these, they're also human beings, right? A light and fun tone can stand out easily in a newsfeed full of serious advice and industry articles.
So thank you for joining us for the webinar today, and we hope that you found it useful. A copy of our Marketing Labs presentation and recording will be shared with you after the webinar.
We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions in the feedback module below. And also, my colleagues and I will be online for the next 10 minutes to answer any questions you have via the Q&A module in the chat box. Till next time!
So next time, bye!